Picture this. You've been giving your all to someone who barely notices. You're the one always texting first, always making plans, always showing up. But the moment you stop chasing and focus on yourself, suddenly they're watching your every move, asking what you're up to, acting like they might lose you forever. Sound familiar? Today I'm going to reveal the psychology behind why pulling back creates more attraction than chasing ever could, and how this principle can transform not just your relationships, but your entire approach to life. Here's what most people get wrong about attraction. They think more effort equals more results. More texts, more attention, more availability. But here's the truth. Attraction operates on scarcity, not abundance. Think about anything valuable in your life. Is it valuable because it's everywhere or because it's rare? The same principle applies to human connection. When you're always available, always chasing, your presence loses its power. But when you shift that energy back to yourself, that's when everything changes. Over the next 9 minutes, I'll break down the 8 psychological principles that explain why stepping back is actually stepping up and how you can use this knowledge to become magnetic in every area of your life. Let's start with a simple truth. What comes easy goes easy. Imagine someone handed you a free coffee every single day. At first you'd be grateful. But after a week, 2 weeks, a month, that coffee becomes expected, then ignored, then taken for granted. It has no value because it requires no effort. Now imagine that same coffee shop suddenly closes. Suddenly you're craving that coffee, remembering how good it was, wishing you had appreciated it more. This is exactly what happens with human attention. When you're always available, always the first to text, always free when they call, always accommodating their schedule, your presence becomes like that free coffee. Expected but not valued. But the moment you become less available, less predictable, less eager, your presence transforms from common to rare, and rare things are treasured. The key insight here is that value isn't determined by how much you give. Now it's determined by how much effort someone has to put in to receive what you're offering. Here's a fascinating psychological phenomenon. We notice things more when they're gone than when they're present. Think about your favorite song on the radio. When it plays constantly, it fades into background noise. But when it disappears from rotation, suddenly you're humming it, searching for it, appreciating it in a way you never did when it was always there. This is called the absence amplification effect, and it applies powerfully to human relationships. When you're constantly present in someone's life through texts, calls, social media interactions, you become part of their routine, comfortable, predictable, easily ignored. But when you create space, when you're not always there filling the silence, something magical happens. That space gets filled with thoughts about you. Questions start forming. Why isn't he reaching out? What's he up to? Did I miss something? The absence creates a void, and nature abhors a vacuum. Their mind starts filling that space with curiosity about you. You become present in their thoughts precisely because you're absent from their phone. Now here's where it gets really interesting. When you stop chasing external validation and redirect that energy inward, you tap into the most attractive force in human psychology: momentum. Think about it. What's more magnetic? Someone who revolves their entire world around you, or someone who has built such an interesting, dynamic life that you feel lucky to be included in it? When you were focused entirely on them, you appeared small. Your world seemed to begin and end with their attention. But when you pull back and start investing in yourself, hitting the gym, learning new skills, building your career, developing your interests, your world expands, and expansion is magnetic. People are drawn to growth like moths to a flame. When someone sees you leveling up, becoming more confident, more skilled, more interesting, they can't help but take notice. Even if they don't say it out loud, they feel it. Here's the paradox: when they were the center of your universe, you looked needy. But when you become the center of your own universe, suddenly you look like someone worth orbiting around. This isn't about playing games or manipulating anyone. It's about recognizing a fundamental truth. The most attractive thing you can be is the best version of yourself, focused on your own growth and fulfillment. Let me paint 2 different pictures for you. Picture A: someone who fills every silence with words, every pause with a text message, every free moment with their presence. They're always there, always reaching out, always available. There's no mystery, no space for wonder, no room for curiosity to grow. Picture B: someone who communicates thoughtfully, then disappears into their own rich, full life. They're working on projects, Spending time with friends, pursuing passions. When they're with you, they're fully present. When they're not, they're genuinely busy living. Which person are you more curious about? The second person creates what psychologists call a curiosity gap, the space between what someone knows and what they want to know. This gap creates psychological tension that the mind desperately wants to resolve. When you're not constantly available, when you're not filling every silence, you force others to wonder about you. And wondering leads to wanting. This isn't about being artificially unavailable or playing hard to get. It's about having a life so full and interesting that you're genuinely not always free. It's about being the kind of person others are curious about because you're actually doing interesting things. Here's something crucial that most people misunderstand. Boundaries aren't walls that keep people out. They're guidelines that show people how to treat you. Too many people are afraid to set boundaries because they think it will push others away, so they tolerate late responses, disrespectful behavior, being treated as an option rather than a priority. They think that accepting less will make them more likable. But here's what actually happens. When you have no boundaries, you signal that you don't value yourself. And if you don't value yourself, why should anyone else? Boundaries communicate worth without you having to say a word. When you say, "I won't chase someone who isn't meeting me halfway," you're not being difficult. You're being clear about your standards. And here's the surprising truth. People respect boundaries, even when they test them. In fact, especially when they test them. Boundaries show emotional maturity, self-respect, and strength. They demonstrate that you know your worth and won't settle for less. A person with healthy boundaries is like a high-quality restaurant that doesn't compromise on their standards to fill seats. They'd rather serve fewer people excellently than many people poorly. And guess which restaurant people respect more? So here's what I want you to understand. Attraction isn't built through chasing, convincing, or proving your worth. It's built through presence, respect, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are. When you stop overextending yourself, when you create healthy space, when you invest in your own growth, when you move with genuine independence, people notice. They feel it. They respect it. But here's the most important part. Whether any specific person comes back into your life or not, you win. Because you'll have gained something no one can ever take away from you. Your self-respect, your personal power, and the magnetic confidence that comes from being complete on your own. The goal isn't to manipulate anyone into wanting you. The goal is to become the kind of person who doesn't need anyone's validation to feel whole. And paradoxically, that's exactly when others start gravitating toward you. So starting today, I challenge you to redirect that energy you've been putting into chasing back into building. Build your skills, your confidence, your interests, your life. Become so focused on your own growth that other people's approval becomes nice to have, not need to have. Remember, the most attractive thing you can be is someone who is complete on their own, generous with others but never desperate for anyone's attention. Your worth doesn't come from who chooses you. It comes from who you choose to be. Now go build a life so interesting that people feel privileged to be part of it.